My ex-wife made bubbles appear around me years ago, and I still think about it every single day. We'd been dating for about 3 years and were living together in this tiny apartment near downtown. Nothing fancy, just a one-bedroom with a kitchen so small we could barely both fit in it at the same time. It was a Tuesday night and I was doing the dishes after dinner. She was on the couch watching some reality show about people buying houses they couldn't afford. I remember the TV was too loud and the sink was full of pans from the pasta we'd made. I grabbed the dish soap bottle, one of those Green Dawn ones, and sat it down on the counter while I scrubbed a pot. The bottle must have been angled weird or the cap was loose because when I put it down, this stream of bubbles just started floating up from the top. At first I didn't even notice. I was focused on getting the burnt cheese off the bottom of the pan, but then I heard her giggle from the couch. Not a full laugh, just this soft giggle that made me look up. She was staring at me with this huge smile on her face. "What?" I asked, confused. She pointed at me and said, "You look like you're in a fairy tale right now." I looked around and realized there were all these soap bubbles floating around my head and shoulders. The light from the kitchen window was hitting them just right so they had little rainbows inside. I must have looked ridiculous standing there covered in bubbles holding a dirty pot. But the way she was looking at me, like it was the most magical thing she'd ever seen, made me feel like it actually was special. She got up from the couch and walked over, popping a few of the bubbles with her finger while laughing. Then she kissed me on the cheek and went back to her show. That was it. Nothing dramatic happened. No big romantic moment, just bubbles and a giggle and a quick kiss. But for some reason, that memory burned itself into my brain and never left. We got married 2 years later, had a small wedding at this barn venue that her mom picked out. Things were good for a while. We bought a house, got a dog, did all the normal married couple stuff. But after about 5 years, things started falling apart. We fought more, stopped talking as much, grew into different people who didn't really fit together anymore. The divorce was mutual and relatively peaceful. No huge drama or betrayal. We just weren't working anymore. She moved out 3 years ago and took the dog. I kept the house. We don't really talk much now except for the occasional happy birthday text or when we need to split up the last few shared bills. But here's the weird part. Every single time I use dish soap, I squeeze the bottle a little extra just to see if bubbles will come out. I've gone through probably 30 bottles since she left and I do it every time. Sometimes bubbles come out and float around for a second before popping. Most of the time nothing happens. But I keep trying because for those few seconds when the bubbles appear, I'm back in that tiny apartment with her giggling on the couch. I don't even miss her anymore, not really. We're both better off apart. But I miss that version of us. The one where bubbles floating in a kitchen was enough to make her smile. The one where we were still impressed by the small, stupid things. I've dated other people since then, had a couple relationships that lasted a few months, but none of them ever looked at me the way she looked at me that night, like I was standing in the middle of something magical instead of just doing dishes in a cramped kitchen. Now I live alone and the kitchen is twice as big. The dish soap is a different brand, but every time I squeeze that bottle and watch for bubbles, I'm hoping they'll come out, just so I can remember what it felt like when someone thought the ordinary parts of me were worth giggling about.